So we got to talk about the party conferences. Of course, they've happened a while ago now, but they were really, I mean, obviously, they were really momentous occasions actually because of what's happening around the world. They were sort of swept into sort of the second page and third pages of papers, but they were really important bits of theatre, I suppose. So you have on one side the Labour Party. Keir Starmer came out to give his triumphant speech, getting ready for the general election. Of course, it was almost ruined by a protester that came out to throw some glitter on him. And then who really fluffed these chants? Because I still don't know what that protester was trying. What does he stand for? He said we want a people's vote and a people's house, and then like 10 seconds after, he was still explaining what he was. It's a terrible protest. But anyways, there's that. And on the other side, you have Rishi Sunak, who gave all these big promises about scrapping A-levels, scrapping HS2, like lots of sort of really bold promises for what he think will be the next kind of term. Just thought we'd get thoughts on, what do you think about these conferences? Who came out on top? Are you excited about any particular premiership? I mean...
Well, Rishi Sunak's trying to push himself from being the continuation candidate to being...
Breakaway,
yeah. Weirdly, after a year of being in government. And he's doing some things which I don't know if I would necessarily recommend he do. But also, at the same time, I also think that his entire supporting cast has completely... failed around him. It was a pretty catastrophic. Well, I thought it was pretty catastrophic.
Yeah, I mean, he's alienated all the previous leaders by tearing up the cross-party consensus we had on HS2. Yeah. He's trying to call himself the sort of true successor to Thatcher, which was also kind of eerie.
Which is also what. What's her name? Liz Truss tried to do. Completely forgot what her name was.
Yeah, I mean, for good reason. And then he had this other odd thing where he brought his wife out and was like, she's actually a political asset, introduce me. And I just thought, yuck. It just, he strikes me as such a tryhard. And in a sort of like a non-cool way. Even though he thinks it's cool, but I don't know. I just found it all a bit no.
Don't get me wrong. I think he's a very smart man. I think he's the most capable of the last 3 prime ministers we've had.
In what sense? Capable in what sense?
As in, he's probably the most ready to run the country when compared to Boris Johnson or Liz Truss.
Who was the one before Boris Johnson?
Those were I said last 3.
Oh, okay. I thought
him including the last 3. Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think that if you were expanding it to 4, then we're starting to get into some dodgy territory. But yeah, he seems like he's relatively responsible given the last 3-4 years that we've had.
You would be responsible if you were prime minister given the last.
Well, yeah, but this is my point. I'm just like competition isn't exactly stellar.
This is it.
But yeah, I don't know. It's not a particularly great time.
Labour, it seems to be quite vanilla.
What, Labour?
Yeah.
You didn't like Keir Starmer's speech?
No, it just seemed to be a bit... It's come to what I expect from there. I think that Labour is banking on the fact that the Conservatives are essentially destroying themselves and they're imploding. And all they're doing is just... I think their strategy is not to push their own agendas too hard. Just allow them to destroy themselves and we all look like normal people in comparison. That's how they win, in my opinion.
I actually think Keir Starmer's speech is really good. As in, I think he's starting to come into his own. He seemed quite confident. He handled the protester really, really well. He's done that thing of sounding less radical than he actually is, which you must do if you're going to win any election in the UK. We're not the country of upheaval and destroy everything and social change.
We are a very conservative country.
This is it. Even the left wingers in this country.
Yeah.
Are overwhelmingly conservative, even in their sort of like, because we're not a country of revolution. We're the country people
Yeah, but aristocracy.
This is it.
We've still got a House of Lords.
So I thought he sounded like a prime minister, in a way. To not, is he exciting? No. Do I find him enthralling?
That's what I mean by vanilla. Just ordinary.
Nothing's
really. There's nothing that makes me say this is the man I want to vote for. There's no. Not so much charisma. There's no
I
Lack of a better term, X
think we
factor.
might need that. I think charisma has got us into some pretty sticky situations
I
in the
agree.
last few years.
That's true.
Like whether that be Brexit, which was headed by some pretty charismatic people, Boris Johnson, the king of charisma, but not a lot else, and Liz Truss, who, even though she's like a cardboard, cut out of herself, she was still charismatic enough to win the vote from the Tory party. So, I think that charisma has got us on the wrong tracks. I wouldn't mind someone governing for
policy
fucking once.
wise, Labour have some interesting ideas. There were lots of businesses present at the Labour Party conference because they thought this is a party that we could do business with. I think here Starmer is put out a pitch to say that we're going to be a party that's pro-business in a way that Jeremy Corbyn certainly wasn't willing to make that sort of concession. And so I think this is what makes kind of
and
businesses like
just as
Starmer.
just as an important quick check on that as well. Like it's not just that he's saying we're pro-business; it's that the Conservatives have shown an inability to be pro-business over the last couple of years. Like collapsing, absolutely tanking the economy last year, made a lot of businesses just go absolutely
not worth it.
this.
Yeah. So we'll be interested to see what happens following this. Of course, we'll see. Israel and Palestine does dominate the news sphere, and so it's very hard to see beyond that. But we're coming up to the end of the year. The election will be next year. I can't see any of it. I mean, it has to be next year based on the Fixed Term Parliament Act. So
it depends on the American election, apparently.
this is true.
Yeah.
I have seen that actually, but probably be in autumn. I mean, who knows? But my point is, we're going to hear more about the leaders, and so we'll be watching closely to see exactly what happens.
Yeah, things are only going to ramp up.
Yeah.